Mongolia has many different imports and exports. They kind of have a lot of livestock and farming that they do in their own country, so they end up exporting a lot of meats and vegetables and farm products, kind of like that, and their imports are more technology based. Um, their main their main exports are kind of like lamb and those type of meats, and lamb is used a bunch in Mongolian culture. One of their special dishes is called kork hog. It's lamb cooked in a pot over an open fire, and they throw potatoes, onions, and carrots into that dish. The meat is supposed to have like a smoky flavor, and it's kind of like a Mongolian barbecue that they have. Some normal common dishes are booze, bort, boodog, and banch. Booze is like a steamed dumpling filled with meat and mutton and some other seasonings with like onion and garlic. Borts is more of a dried meat, and they'd get this from goats and camels and cows. And Mongolia has super harsh winters, so they would make this type of meat and save it over the winters and slowly eat it for the winters, and they'd preserve it, and that's kind of what they'd live off during the winter time. Boodog is more of a roast made from goat, so kind of a special meal that they'll have. They'll cook it with hot stones, and they'll throw potatoes, onions, and things like that. They actually put the hot stones under the skin of the goat, and that's how they cook that meal. And then banch are dumplings made with beef and mutton, and they kind of serve this with milk tea and soup. Cooking style and utensils. Mongolia uses a lot of animal products, like I said. They kind of have their own unique way of cooking these, more of a stir fry kind of meal. Using oils and stuff like that. They usually have big spatulas that they chop the things up with and flip and turn, and that's mainly what they use to cook these meals. A very peculiar method that they use to preserve meats, like I was talking about earlier with borts, is they dry the meat out and preserve it for the winter. They do this with cows, camels, and goats. It's supposed to be soaked in water and then expand 2.5 times its size. And like I said, they got super harsh winters, so they use this to save over the harsh winters and eat off of. Mongolians are very nomadic, and that definitely impacts their diet a lot. It consists of a lot of meat, milk, and dairy products that is provided by the livestock they raise. And this is kind of how Mongolia has been for a long time, with the nomadic diet and sticking to their livestock and products that they raise themselves. Mongolians traditionally do not eat bread, which is a kind of funky thing that they do, and some vegetables and fruit as well. A lot of Mongolians have adjusted and now eat these things, but they used to be believed as unhealthy, and so they would always eat the meat and the stir fry kind of meals that they would always make, and never eat fruits or vegetables and breads like that. They have some very unusual eating habits as well. They would boil and eat the lungs, heart, stomach, and liver and intestines of the animals that they would raise. Sometimes they would eat just pieces of pure fat, and big events they would celebrate with a feast featuring a sheep slaughtered by slitting its stomach and reaching inside and pulling out the heart and brain and eating that as well. A part of that sheep diet is they had the sheep's head meal, which is where they would literally cook the sheep's head and eat things like I said, the tongue and the organs of that meat. with that sheep's head, they would put it in a pot and have vegetables and simmer it for a long time. And when they would serve it on a plate, it would literally be the sheep's head, and you could see the shape of the sheep with the mouth hanging out and all that kind of things too. Mongolians drink a lot of milk from the cattle and goats that they raise. They also make butter and cheeses through this kind of stuff, and somehow they've fermented and distilled the liquids they're able to get from these animals that they raise and turn it into vodka. There's many different kinds of Mongolian drinks, but a very popular one is known as the sea buckhorn juice. It's known as liquid gold to people in Mongolia, and it has a healing reputation, and some Mongolians still believe that this drink can heal people with like injuries and sickness and all kinds of different things. And so it comes from a super bright orange berry bush that's native to Mongolia. It's a super thorny bush and grows in impossible conditions. And they take that bush and they take the berries that are on it and turn it into this drink. So kind of going back to what I said earlier, Mongolian food is just super nomadic and native to them. It goes back to their roots of raising livestock and eating that, and kind of eating the own things they've raised. Their diet has been influenced by surrounding countries as well. A lot of the Asian countries have similar foods to them, and they have similar. The Asian countries have similar foods to them, and they have similar food to those other Asian countries. And even Russia and China have had impacts on the Mongolian diet and how they eat and the types of food they have. That is all I have for now. Thank you.